chapters 7 and 8 of Brave Dog Blizzard. Chapter 7, The Attack. The Hancocks had gone to bed early since they planned to leave first thing in the morning to go to the fair. All was quiet on the ranch, but Blizzard was restless. He was standing under a tree in his favorite spot. Livy was asleep nearby. The other ewes and their lambs had settled down hours ago for the night. The moon cast a bright light over the sleeping flock. Now it was almost morning, and the pale dawn was just beginning to show in the east. Blizzard could see shadows from the trees rippling as a light breeze ruffled their branches. But suddenly, the hairs on the back of Blizzard's neck stiffened. He could hear something in the distance, the baying of dogs in a pack. Blizzard stood up, growling low in his throat. He could hear the dogs very clearly now. He gave a loud warning bark. The sheep woke up, and the ewes bleated with alarm as they tried to check and see if their lambs were safe. Nervous, the sheep got up and moved closer together. All at once, 4 dogs burst out of the shadows, running toward the terrified sheep. The ewes, calling their lambs to them, broke and ran toward the far end of the pasture, the bells around their necks ringing wildly. Blizzard sprang up towards the leader of the pack, a large German shepherd. The German shepherd was not as large as Blizzard, but he was older, wiser, an experienced fighter. The intruder was surprised to find a dog amongst the sheep, but he soon gathered his wits. Blizzard grabbed the back of the attacker's neck and brought the German shepherd down to the ground. But the shepherd, in the next instant, was so wily he twisted away and closed his teeth at Blizzard's throat. But instead of flesh and the jugular vein that he was seeking, the dog's teeth met with the heavy leather collar that Blizzard always wore. The German shepherd lunged again. This time he came away with a mouthful of hair. What sort of dog was this? Blizzard seemed to be all leather and fur. The other 3 dogs in the pack had paused when Blizzard jumped on their leader. Soon 2 of them took off again, after the fleeing sheep. The 4th dog, a terrier, decided he would join in the fight. Blizzard succeeded in throwing the German shepherd back, but before he knew it, the terrier was barking and yapping and nipping at his face. Blizzard grabbed the smaller dog by the back of the neck, gave him a rough shaking, and tossed him aside. He lay still where he landed, his neck broken. The shepherd, however, was soon back on his feet, growling a deep, menacing growl. Blizzard could see the other dogs, a medium-sized black mutt and a large fuzzy dog, racing through the herd, biting and nipping the backs and hind legs of the sheep. The sheep's leaders were fleeing down the old road toward the gate, the air filled with the jangling of bells as the panicked sheep ran headlong toward the trees. It was growing lighter as the sun started to rise, but the shadows were still very deep in the woods. Blizzard was frantic. The shepherd lunged at him again, but Blizzard's size was a match for the older dog's experience. Suddenly, a rifle shot rang out. The German shepherd sprang to his feet and raced toward the woods. Blizzard heard another shot as his opponent disappeared into the underbrush. He caught a glimpse of the other 2 dogs as they veered away from the sheep and fled with the German shepherd into the woods. The shots had frightened the loose dogs away. Chapter 8, A Sad Day. Blizzard turned to the spot where he had last seen the sheep. He saw Dr. and Mrs. Hancock running toward the old road. Dr. Hancock was carrying a rifle. Blizzard plodded over toward the Hancocks. They stopped, and Dr. Hancock pushed at the body of the terrier with the toe of his boot. "This one's dead," he said to Mrs. Hancock, "but the other one got away." "Look at Blizzard!" Mrs. Hancock exclaimed. "I think more than one got away." Hunks of Blizzard's coat had been torn away and were hanging down in ribbons. Even though it was a mess, however, his thick Commodore coat had protected him from injury. Blizzard hung his head. He hurt all over, and he felt that he had failed in his mission of protecting the sheep from harm. Mrs. Hancock petted his head and told him, "You're a good boy, Blizzard. You tried. You did your best." Dr. Hancock gave Blizzard a quick examination. "He seems to be all right," he told his wife. "His coat sure is a mess, after all Rebecca's grooming. Oh, well, he looks like a pretty ragged commodore now. Come on, let's go see if any sheep are hurt." They started down the old road, with Blizzard following along behind them. It was now full light, with the morning sun showing above the horizon. It didn't take them long to find the first sheep. Terrified lambs were crying for their mothers. One lamb lay dead. Soon the Hancocks found a ewe with her leg badly torn. They could see the raw red muscle where the flesh had been ripped away. The sad group followed the old road to the gate. They saw that the fleeing sheep had pushed into it and pulled away the wire where Mrs. Hancock had fixed it. The gate now hung askew. In the woods, they could hear the sheep calling out and the sound of their bells. Without the dogs in pursuit now, the sheep had slowed down and were milling around in the trees. "Blizzard, stay," commanded Mrs. Hancock. Reluctantly, the white dog sat down near the gate. Dr. and Mrs. Hancock headed off in different directions to find the scattered sheep and bring them back to the pasture. The Hancocks searched through the woods, and they found the sheep by listening as the ewes called out for their lost lambs. They could hear the animals picking their way through the thick brush. Soon they had located most of the ewes and their lambs. They walked around and gathered the sheep into a bunch, and then herded them down the old road to the gate. A number of the ewes had patches of wool pulled out, but none were hurt as badly as the injured ewe in the pasture. Dr. Hancock picked up a lamb who had broken his leg in the fence, and he cradled the little creature in his arms. "I don't know what's worse," he told his wife. "Coyotes do hunt down the sheep, but they're wild creatures. These dogs aren't hungry. They just do it for sport." "I wish people would keep their dogs tied up," said Mrs. Hancock. "I suppose they can't believe that their pets would deliberately tear up animals like this." The Hancocks put the sheep back in the pasture. Blizzard watched as they counted them. After they added in the dead lamb and the injured ewe and lamb, they were still one sheep short. "Who's missing?" Dr. Hancock asked his wife. Blizzard walked through the exhausted flock. They eyed him warily, and then relaxed a bit when they recognized him. He snorted with alarm. Where was Libby?